So on tonight's video I want to talk to you about roses. The roses I want to talk about are the ones that I keep up at Grassy Bottom. And I'd like to walk around the garden and just show you the ones I've got and describe them a little bit. The first one we're going to talk about is Rosa the Generous Gardener. And this is a climber. Should make about 12 foot. I've got it up this pergola here. And it's been in about 2 years and it's doing really, really well. So these are the types of flowers that it has. And I don't know really what colour I'd describe them. At the moment, some of them are a little bit pinky. And then some of them are a bit peachy. And it does have a lovely smell to it. So what I'll do, because it's still fairly new to me, this one, I'm gonna pick up the label and let's have a look at the label. Let's give a bit of a description from that. So it's classed as a medium climber. It says it should make 15 foot, which would be great for this pergola because I've got quite a pergola here to go at. And I've got to train it to go over that now. This year I've kind of cocked up because I've allowed it to go above and beyond. But nevertheless, it looks really nice. So I'm not that bothered at the minute. So it's a repeat flower, June, which is now, and it'll go right through to September, hopefully, which should be good. So they describe it as having a delicious fragrance with aspects of old rose musk and myrrh. And it's named for the National Garden Scheme. And I believe when I bought this rose from David Austin Roses, they gave a little bit of that money to that charity. So I've done my little bit for them as well. Now this looks absolutely wonderful. So what else do they say about it? It's a beautifully formed pale glowing pink rose which nod gracefully on the stem. That's when the petals open. So that's going to be really nice. Medium size, as I said, 15 foot, 4.5 meters. And it's got to be trained, so I've got to do a lot of training on this one before it gets to where it needs to be. But it does look really nice. I mean, all roses look really good. And it's looking very, very healthy indeed. So that's Rosa the Generous Garden. And I bought that as a climbing rose, a small climbing rose, to go over this pergola. So the other roses I've got, and we'll walk through the garden. I won't pause this and walk over to the other. I'll walk you through the garden at the same time. So the other ones I've got, and one of my favourites, or has become one of my favourites, is one called Rosa Gertrude, a repeat flowerer. Yep, Hamish has learnt how to get up in the tree. The devil. So this is, I get sidetracked. This is Rosa Gertrude, and it's wonderful. I love it. It's got a lovely scent. Let's have a smell. Oh, God, yeah. Lovely, lovely scent. And Kathy describes it as a Turkish delight scent. Now, it's that typical rose, as you can see. Named after Gertrude Jekyll herself. And another David Austin rose. And a wonderful one it is too. I love it. Now, I'm growing it up part of the cloister pergola, this little section here. And I'm hoping over time to introduce it over to the other side. So that little, in fact, it's already working its way to the right. At the very back there, it's working itself up to the right. So that one should be easy to train onto that bit of wire there. So this is part of the reason why I put this reinforcing mesh on here, is to allow things like the climbers to grow up them. And for it to look nice as they're doing that. Now, this rose is going over so quickly, there's going to be a lot of deadheading required. I know this from last year and the year before. This one's been in for 3 years, and simply take them off. Throw them on the floor if you wish. I do that and then I'll go mow it up later. And this will be constant now, as it is a repeat flower. It is going to go over quite quickly, all of these roses. They tend to do that. One thing you can do with the petals is actually collect them, lift them off, collect them, put them onto some sort of a metal tray and keep them in a dry place, put them in your greenhouse or something. You can actually keep them as wedding confetti. And that would work. That would be eco-friendly as well. So Rosa Gertrude Jekyll is a real stunner. And it doesn't matter where I look in this pergola, it just looks good. And it grabs your attention from all around the garden. It's looking good with the euphorbia as well. And this is Euphorbia Excalibur. The one that I'm calling the walking stick euphorbia. That's just me calling them that. That's not a common term. But it looks really good. It's quite a nice complementary plant. So Rosa Gertrude Jekyll will cover this. So it's going to get to about 9 foot, I would have said. Although on here it can't make that because that's only about 7 foot tall. So that gives me the chance to either nip it back down or to train it to go across the top. And as of yet, I've not decided fully which way I'm going to take it. So here's another nice one. And I class this as more of a pillar rose. Now, pillar rose is one that would grow up a pillar type structure, such as this. And this one is called Starlight Symphony. And it's quite a nice one, actually. In fact, it's a very nice one. Has this little tone in the middle. Does it have a scent? A very, very subtle scent, this one has. But it's a beauty, and it's that colour. So it has a peachy little inner bit there, if you can see that. And then towards the outsides, it's more white. It's more of a whitey cream, to be quite honest with you, rather than a pure white. I think that may show it better with that peachy colour in the middle. So it's a real nice one, and this is a very healthy looking rose. Some of the roses do get black spot, which a lot of them have got, but this one doesn't seem to be suffering it at the moment. I may speak too soon and it may develop it. But at the moment, it's looking good. Again, I've got to keep thinking about deadheading. So all we do is we pinch off the rose heads, throw them on the floor, or do whatever you will with them. Really, we should be going further down. To be quite honest, I should be going and I should be taking some secateurs and breaking it. Oh dear, breaking it there. Nearly took off another rosebud then. But anyway, so that's what you should do. Now, so Starlight Symphony is a lovely, lovely rose. I like it. I like that one a lot. It's quite bright as well, so a little bit unusual compared to the other ones I've got, which have all got some sort of a colour in them. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about is this one here. It's called Woolerton Old Hall. And this has, let's see if we can focus on it. So it's described as a wonderful fragrant climber with, again, warm myrrh fragrance and intense hints of citrus. Now has it? Let me tell you. Nope. I'll be honest, I can't smell that. But that doesn't mean it's not going to develop it over time. Don't forget, this has only just been put in 2 months ago. So we'll ignore that little bit at the minute. And then it has buds with attractive flashes of red and open to beautifully rounded chalice-shaped blooms of pale apricot. And yes, that's what's happening with that one. And there's the ones that are opening with those colours. It's quite nice. It's actually very, very nice, that. Lovely. Now, I fed it a couple of days ago at the bottom there. I use Plant Grow UK, who do a bit of a mulch, and they do other feeds, including a specific rose feed. So that'll need a couple of weeks to really get into the soil and start feeding it. I should have done that straight away, to be quite honest with you, but I didn't. So what else does it say about it? So it's a 10-footer. It's saying it'll go up a 10-foot wall or a fence. Shady areas. A lot of roses like shady areas. Make no doubts about that. It does surprise people to know that roses grow in shade, but they do. And it's saying it'll make it up to 12 foot, which is great for this because, again, it's coming up the cloister pergola, remember. So it's coming up here, and then it's going to work its way over the barbed wire, and I shall train it. Now, that's going to take time. Now, as I've said, it is going to get shade, and more shade than it has at the moment. And that's because behind it we have this black elder, and this black elder is Sambuca's black tower, a real beauty, and that's actually going to have a great impact on this rose. As this rose gets bigger, those whites will be displayed beautifully against that. And also, over time, we've got this miscanthus growing, and that's one called Memory, and that gets quite tall and is a beauty. So that again will complement. So that's a Woolerton Old Hall. A very nice rose indeed, one that I've wanted and coveted for some years, and finally took the plunge and got one, because they're not cheap, don't forget. Some of these roses can cost up to £30, £40, depending where you buy them from. So the next one I'm going to show you is more of a wild species type rose, I would call it, and it's called Rosaglauca. Now, at the minute, there's not really any flowers open apart from this one, which actually has lost at least one petal, if not more. And it has this wonderful look, this beautiful, beautiful colour within it. And I really like this one. This is a real favourite of mine. And it has little sort of red tones within those leaves, as you can see. Reddy, flushed purple and blue, hence Rosaglauca. So that's a beautiful one, and it's really, for me at the moment, it's more of a shrub. It will eventually become a small tree or a large shrub. I'm going to have to concede that will become a large shrub because of the way I've been pruning it, and I had no choice really, because this was selected by a friend from a wild one that the seed that she found from her wild one. So sometimes you don't have a choice but to take what you're given, and this was free, so I wasn't going to turn it away. It was a tiny little baby when I got it a couple of years ago, and I'm hoping that this is going to make it up to about, well, let's show you. It's going to make it to about the size of this here, and this is a silver birch, and hopefully it's going to mimic that in size. Obviously not, it's not going to look like a silver birch, it's going to look like a rose. So I really like that, and as I said, it's called the Himalayan musk rose. It does have a little bit of a scent, a musky scent, so it's nice. But I just love it in general because it's got a real nice look about it. Now the next one, I had to put this one in here as a replacement to Rosa Moisei, which wasn't performing when I bought it. I bought it bare rooted, and I had to remove it again because it wasn't doing very well. And I put it into another pot. This isn't Rosa Moisei. I'll tell you in a minute what this is. Rosa Moisei isn't looking great, and I'll give you a little view of that in a minute. And I may have to do something about that. I may have to send it back, or at least describe to them what's happened to it. So this one has been a long time favourite of mine. I've been buying this particular rose for at least 15 years, if not longer. And I've got it again up here at Grassy Bottom. So this one is called Dublin Bay. And it's the climbing rose, really, this one. And it has these red velvety flowers that are really, really nice. And I do rate this one. It's looking very healthy at the moment. It's not putting on much growth. It has started some fresh growth. It's not been in long. It's probably only been in a month and a half, this one. As I said, it was a replacement for another one that didn't do very well. Again, we're looking to cover this whole thing, this whole structure. This is what we're looking to cover. And we have to have several roses to do that. One rose alone will not do it. So over time, roses like this, Rosa Dublin Bay, and all the others that I've got within the pergola itself will start to cover all this. And this has been the idea from day one, is to give the feeling of seclusion with heavy scent going on inside. And over time, that's just what's going to happen. Now, the next one I'm going to take you to is a wild rose, and it's called Rosa canina, and it means dog rose, hence the canina. I didn't plant this. This is part of a native and a species hedging rose that you tend to find in the UK. And hopefully there'll be some of the flowers out. And yes, there is. So there you go, the pinky looking one at the back, right back there, Rosa canina, the dog rose, and it's a scrambler and a climber. More of a scrambler and a rambler than anything else. So if you got a little tree, that would grow up lovely. And it is a wild species, and you often find those in hedgerows. And I do like it. I really like that, but you need something like a hedge to actually get it going. Now, I talked about Rosa moysii, and when I first bought it, and this is a David Austin rose, I'm going to show you what happened to it, minus the weeds that are growing in there. It's nothing to do with the weed. Now, this is what has become of it. It did start growing quite nicely once I removed it from the garden, but once more it is failing. So I'm considering that to be a failure. And I will contact David Austin Roses and see if we can have that replaced, because that's really not good. And I got that at a bargain price, but I bought it as a bare root. And if you're not happy with things when you buy them, send them back, take them back, and get your money back or get a replacement. And that's what I'll be doing. So I really am not happy with that. So roses, yeah, they're quintessentially English, as we all know, in the UK. And around the world, people always think of the English rose, don't they? But we do have some absolutely beautiful roses. I'm not a rose expert. I need to point that out now. I'm just someone who likes roses. And you know I'm a grass man. But roses I love. Not in equal measures, but I love to have those in the garden as well, because they have so much to offer. So Gertrude Jekyll, as I said, is in full flower now, and the pictures that you always see of it do not disappoint. They are absolutely wonderful, and one I would recommend every time for you to get. It just has this display all the time. Absolutely beautiful. So there you go, a little selection of the roses I've got. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to get any more roses, and I won't say I won't, because never say never. I do like them, and if I find a place where I think one might be fitting for, I will get it. But for now, those are the few roses that I've actually got, and I like them a lot. Okay, so we'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!